it's kind of, they meet people where they're at type of recovery, and they are in Hudson, New Hampshire. Great organization. I went and toured it. I don't send anyone to a place that I don't walk through and see myself, because I wouldn't want you to send, if I had a child, them to any place without looking at it. So I can tell you, I already walked through the heartfelt recovery, and I would definitely recommend that place. So those are all of our banners that are going on. Some are missing, and we hope to get those up soon. And then I want to get into the reality of the show, which is why we do it. So when individuals buy the banner, the funds go into a scholarship fund. So when an individual needs sober living after treatment, we're able to scholarship individuals. And the reason why we do this is to decrease any barrier that could possibly be for an individual to continue their recovery journey. So if you need a ride to detox, we can get you a ride. You need a ride home from detox. If you didn't get thrown out, we'll give you a ride home. If you want to go into sober living, we're going to give you the resources and let you know where to apply for scholarships and what houses that we actually scholarship to. So overdoses for the Essex County, I only have the first quarter. I typically give up to date. And I did not, because I'm so busy, run the report in regards to the numbers, and I usually break down Methuen, Lawrence, Andover, Haverhill, and Methuen, if I already said that one. So in Essex County, we've had 155 overdose, which is still good. But as we were speaking earlier, me and these ladies that you're going to be meeting, overdoses have gone down in number, and also overdose deaths. But it doesn't feel like that, because in my own community, we've had 7 so far this year. And that's a significant amount for a small community. Basically, when these numbers, that number should be my number by the end of the year. The other thing is there's some events that I always like to bring attention to. There's the Ray of Light Cafe. They do a lot of AA meetings. I know they have a new facility that will be opening towards fall. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the name that that's going to be.
I think it's the same.
It's going to be that.
I think.
So
Washington Street.
It's Washington Street. But as they continue to build and get it ready, I will be doing some more announcements for it. I do want to say, I said earlier, Circle of Hope is a family support group that's held every Monday evening, 6:30 to 8 at the Methuen Police Department. We also have Celebrate Recovery on Tuesday nights, and that's at the Ray of Light Cafe as well. And then we have on June 8th, there is a barbecue at Gar Park from 12 to 5. There's going to be many resources there. There's going to be fun games. There's going to be testimonies. So it's just a great place to go. I think they're on year 5 or 6 of hosting that event. And that's what I have there. If you didn't already know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, which is why I brought these 2 beautiful fashionistas to the show, but they are also very skilled in what they do and the type of services that they provide, and they're local. So for individuals to know how to seek help, you need to be educated on that. Like, where do you go? There's still a lot of stigma attached to it, which we'll go to later. Like, how do you find someone? So we're here tonight to just be transparent, to be vulnerable, to share our testimonies as to why these 2 ladies got into because they're 2 different kinds. We have a music therapist who has my heart, because we all know him at a concert every weekend. And then we have a beautiful woman who is, her resume is huge, but the fact that she deals with trauma is huge, because having my own trauma and healing from that, I know how important it is to heal those things inside, so that I can become, and I became, the woman that God needed me to be. So that being said, I have Darian and Chris here, and these are 2 amazing women that I would love to turn this over to. And Chris, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your story? And then I want to hear what made you get into such a field of what you got involved in.
Well, that's a big question. Well, thank you so much for doing this, for all the service you give to our planet, to this community. It's amazing, and really an honor to be here. with
Thank
you
you.
and with you, Darian. Great to meet you. So, my story. Wow.
Yeah.
So I am a recovered person. I'm a recovered food addict, drug addict, alcoholic, sex and
Amen.
love addict, codependent, and debtor.
Yeah.
I'm also the adult child of an alcoholic. And I can say recovered because I have done the work.
Amen.
However, that all being said, Big Book Step Study was the 12-step part of my recovery. It was not the only piece of my recovery. I'm a Buddhist. I'm a longtime Buddhist teacher,
Yep.
longtime yogi. So I often say my recovery equation is 8 + 4 + 12 equals freedom, integrity, and joy. And
Amen.
that's the truth, right?
I love it.
One without the other, I don't know. I can't speak to that. But what I know is that, the promise of the 12-step work is to afford us a spiritual awakening, right? And I laugh when I think about it. I was a spiritual teacher for 20 years without a connection to spirit, right? And I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. So the 12-step process did that, right?
Yep.
And it gave me that foundation. And yet we don't know what we don't know. And what a gift. Like the possibilities are endless. So I was doing an ongoing intensive deep dive into step 11. It's called Steel on Steel, small group of women. And one morning, one of my spiritual friends says, Chris, that's trauma. And I went, whoa, me? Like, I know all this. I mean, I'm, pretty educated, etc. But not me. That was then. This is now. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this work.
Oh, yeah.
I'm good. Right?
Oh, God, yeah.
And yet, here's what happened. There was a little interaction. My reaction was hysterical, maybe a 7 out of 10.
Yep.
Any reaction that is in any way hysterical, the issue is historical, always.
Wow.
Always.
Wow.
Drama is trauma.
Yep.
Always.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know, and it was quite a shock. But the great news is, wow. So then I began the work.
Amen.
Now, as a I've been a mindfulness teacher for a long time, doing this work. It was like this beautiful organic progression, and the pandemic hit. I thought I wasn't a technology person. Oh, I can't do any of this. Oh, no. Well, guess what? The choice was either make a change or stop doing what I'd been doing.
Mm.
So I literally laughed out loud at my desk. It took me all of 5 minutes to set up Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So there went that storyline.
Yep.
I can't. It's not for me.
Yep.
And then I began training, right? And, addiction and trauma are like this.
Yeah, I agree.
Like this. There is no, in the work that I do, addiction is simply an adaptation to what's been suppressed. I don't drink because I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
That's just not this work. I don't drink because I have a gene. As of this morning at 9 a.m., there is still no gene for addiction, right? There isn't. But what's been suppressed? And what is this ever more cover up that needs to come in to allow me to survive?
Yeah.
Right? And the beautiful thing, so I start all this training and I love the science. And, I love learning and it's great. But what was amazing is every psychotherapeutic modality, at least that I work with, is grounded in core mindfulness skills.
Amen.
Which is what I've been doing 30 years.
Right.
I mean, that's we only have the word mindfulness because of the Buddha.
Yeah.
The Anapanasati Sutra, right?
Yeah.
Mindfulness. Mindful of what? So it was, divine. I mean, the alignment is divine.
It is.
And so I am still, I've done all that. I've been in private practice since 21. I have done trauma programs at local treatment centers. Now it's just private practice. And it's amazing to bear witness. So I ran into a guy at the store not long ago, a young guy, and I know him from a meeting or something. And he's just a bright light. So we get all excited. We see each other. Well, it turns out he's in school to be a therapist, right?
Nice.
And he's working as a therapist. And he said, well, tell me, what is your job? And I went, my job, I get to bear witness to miracles. Amen. Every single day.
Amen.
Every day.
That's a beautiful thing.
So walking with people and with I have a pretty robust toolkit.
Yeah.
Right. And I do my own work. So sometimes, I can't work with someone for whatever reason. Yep. If we've been friends or, and I don't accept insurance. So for some people, that's a barrier. But I have recommendations and they say, well, what should I look for? And I said, well, first of all, you need to do a connection call because all these modalities are great. But what we know is it's the safety and attunement in the therapeutic relationship. Mm-hmm. And without that, nothing can happen because the wounding happened in relationship.
Yeah.
So the healing. And then I often suggest to people, ask your prospective therapist who their therapist is. Because if you're seeing someone who's not doing their own work,
Amen.
I'm not, it was required in my training. Yeah. It's not required in most.
And it's funny you say that. And a lot of therapists do not.
I don't think it's ethical.
Neither do I. It's with that 12-step program.
I have a lot of clients who are therapists. So at least like there's some awareness now.
Yep.
And here's the other piece. So it's not just people with addiction who have trauma. Yeah. I haven't met anyone who doesn't have trauma. Gabor Mate says, by virtue of living in this culture, we have trauma. Mm-hmm. Period.
Correct.
And so what great news. It's a portal to transformation. Yeah. If we're willing and interested in living our best lives.
Amen.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, suffering is, there's pain in life, but it's not required every day.
That's right.
That's
right.
So, I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it absolutely did. And I'm going to bring it over to you now and tell us a little bit about, we met at a health fair.
Yeah.
And of course I was drawn to your hair because I love curly hair, right? We're the curly hair girls.
It's true.
And I could just tell like you were a light. And I was like, what do you do? And you're like, I do therapy. And I looked at your address and I was like, you're the kind of person I need to meet. So yours, what caught me on your business card was the music notes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Music was the way that I was able to express myself.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how I feel, but I could make you listen to Black Sabbath over and over again, changes until you got through your head. She must be a little depressed. Or I could play your Candlebox over and over again about letting go of the addict that I didn't want to let go of.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to treat him that bad.
Yeah.
So he could know because I did not know how to articulate. So anytime I think of music, I get moved because it's a huge part of my recovery. Mm-hmm. For some people, it's the sound. For some, it's the lyrics. For me, it's both. And then I come across you who's like, music therapy, but not limited to. But I know that was one of the things. So tell us a little bit about you. You're young, you're beautiful. How'd you get here?
By your invitation, Cole.
Amen. But into the world and into Darien and into going to school and saying, hey, I'm going to pick this for a field.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I loved hearing your story.
Amen.
Like your testimony was just great because you and I just met. So I'm like listening to you, I'm like, wow.
I need to hang around with her. She is. She is.
It's like a really good therapist.
I'm just a mirror for you.
Oh, she does that to everyone.
You're good. You're really good. We need to stay in touch. You're good.
Yes.
How did I get into this? Yes. Well, believe it or not, I originally wanted to study architecture.
Okay.
Yeah. I always knew that I was a creative soul. School was just not my thing. I mean, sitting in a classroom, the teachers at times sounded like a Charlie Brown, like the whole wah, 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 wah. Like I was just not comprehending some of the material. And it wasn't because I was dumb. It's just, I just learned as an adult. I learned differently.
Yep.
I prefer hands-on learning. I'm also a visual learner. So I was just like, okay, I think I want to be an architect. That dream lasted 2 minutes.
Was it the math piece?
It was that part.
Yes, because
I was
I wanted to
terrible
be the
at
same
math.
thing.
Yeah.
When I picked
Yeah.
two things. I didn't know what it was, but it was Constitution. An architect, and my mother's like, "Where did you just learn that word?" Oh, my
Street.
Let's see what happens as I get older. But the math for architect, yes.
Yeah. So that went out the window.
Yep.
And one morning, my mom just like barges into my room. She's like, "I know what you're going to study." And I was like, "What's that? What am I going to study?" She's like, "Music therapy." I shut that down. I said, "I'm not going to play my guitar," because I was playing guitar. I grew up playing guitar. I've been
Okay.
playing guitar for like the last 20 something years. That's my
So
instrument.
did you start when you come out of the womb? I thought you were 20 something.
No, I'm not.
Whoa,
I'm in my 30s.
God
so
bless.
it was a few years after I came out
Okay.
the womb. And she's like, you should study music therapy. And I'm like, I'm not going to go around with my guitar singing Kumbaya to people. Like,
Right.
that's just not a thing. I prefer not to do that. Also, I wasn't a singer at that time. But through some, coaching that my mom did, and more like, just check out this school, check out this university. And
Which
it was
one?
Leslie University.
That's what I thought, because that's where I graduated from. So that was my other connection to you.
Yeah.
And I remember
Yeah.
having a segment of music therapy.
Yeah. So I did Leslie's expressive arts
Yeah.
program. It was renamed, it's clinical mental health counseling, and I
Awesome.
specialized in music therapy, and it was a blast. And I actually felt like, wow, this is my type of learning
Yep.
right here. So how did I really get into wanting to be a therapist? I always felt like an outsider.
Yep.
I could easily sit in a room full of people and just feel slightly off.
Yep.
Or feel very uncomfortable. Suddenly, like, my leg is shaking, or my hands are sweating, or I have to make sure I say the right thing. And at night, I would go to sleep and it's like, dang, why did I say that? That was really dumb. You should have presented yourself differently. And then only to find out when I started doing my own work as a therapist,
Yep.
that I learned that I had anxiety.
Yep.
But it always presented in anger, because anger
Wow.
is an emotion that I'm very comfortable with.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know, I'm looking at the camera.
Yes.
I am Latina. So that stereotype that we have, that we are passionate people,
Yeah.
it's so true. I come from a family that's very passionate. And, anger is an emotion that I would say that my family is very comfortable with,
Yeah.
just to say I'm frustrated with this, or not even say I'm frustrated. It comes out in like,
But your anger could be a lot different than what my anger is. So
Yeah.
you're just saying that this is what your house is. Yes. Okay.
Yes, and it could be presented differently for everyone.
Yes.
But little did I know, I was just like, you're anxious. This is what's giving away to your anger. It's just you're anxious. You're nervous about this thing, or you're fearing this and that. And so ultimately, I just didn't want people to walk around and not knowing, not feeling like they didn't belong.
Yeah.
Because we do belong.
Yep.
You're on this earth for a reason.
Yep.
You're here, right? You're not a mistake. You're here.
That's right.
You're present, and you do belong. So that's pretty much what I wanted my practice to be, just a space for people to feel like they're being seen and heard.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then, so if someone came to you and do you utilize an instrument? Like, can you talk a little bit about what the actual music therapy does and what it actually does for an
Yeah.
individual when they come in?
So fun fact, I haven't done music therapy
Since school.
since my former job. So
Yeah.
even before the pandemic, when the pandemic came, talk about having to adjust. for
Right.
sure.
And that's trauma for everyone right there. So if you think you
Yeah.
don't have trauma and you experience COVID-19, hello, welcome.
Welcome to the club.
Yes,
It's an unfortunate club. but
it
welcome.
is. It is.
Yeah. And yeah, so I had to change on how I even presented myself as a clinician. I was working at a day treatment program in Haverhill. It was called Cornerstone.
Yep.
I loved that place. And it was a place where folks could come and do therapy all day, group therapy. And the program that I ran was the music therapy program.
Awesome.
But then 2020 hit, that shut down.
Yep.
So what had to happen, I had to shift from, hey, I'm going to put an instrument in front of your face and you're going to play and we're going to make all this disastrous noise. We'll call it music, right? And express our feelings. So how do we do this virtually?
Yeah.
Well, what COVID did for me is it upped my therapeutic skills.
Okay.
I learned how to really listen to the music that wasn't being played. And what I mean by that, it was really listen to what a person was saying, I feel, or, you know, I have this thought, or they'll just see something random. I'm like, let's hone in on that. So I really upped like my clinical skills there.
Amen.
And I just ran with it. And during that time, I ended up studying, I became trained in dialectical behavioral therapy.
Yep.
And then I was like, music informed therapy, DBT, yes, please.
Yeah.
There is a total connection.
Awesome.
So nowadays, how that would look like, I would get like that connection call, right?
Right.
And if people want to meet, yeah, absolutely. Most folks are more drawn to the DBT, but of course, I like to sprinkle in a bit of the creativity. I like to sprinkle in that whole, hey, this is how you're feeling. What's a song that represents this?
Yep.
I actually had one client one time just start the session say, I have a song for you. I have a song for you, and this is going to describe exactly how I'm feeling. And it was a Taylor Swift song, so I said, "Oh, okay."
Oh,
Yeah. But it described exactly how
Nice.
she felt. And then I had another one
She's
that would
good for
just
that.
bring one in,
Yep.
and they just started bawling. And I'm like, wow, this song is just quite appropriate to what we have been discussing. So,
That's so cool
Yeah.
because when I put like groups of my pictures together for different people, like each segment of my life has a song, and they're just such extreme songs. Like like there's one segment at the beginning of a video that is going to be made, but like I have it. It's there ain't no good guy, there ain't no bad guy. There's only, who is that, Lou? It's
You and
only
me.
you and
We
me
just
just disagree.
Yeah, I don't know the artist. I
You
don't remember
don't?
the artist. But I'll find out.
Okay. He's a sports guy, not music.
No,
So,
no,
like-
no, I get a
So
good
like
music
each
background.
person, oh really? So each segment of my life will have like an extreme, you know, from Louis Armstrong, It's a Wonderful Life, or this segment of my life, and over here's the catastrophe, and again that's the whole Candle Box, and let's throw in some Led Zeppelin and some Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, you know. It's just everything that's all over the place. But for me, what music just calms me, and it's a place where like the work that I do is just so intense on being on the front line of an opioid addiction, a mental health crisis, that like, and being 36 years sober, like I can't do a California sober and smoke a joint. I can't do this. Like there's a lot of things I can't do.
Poor California.
So I know, but they were talking about it on the radio today about California sober, because there is a musician who was talking about being California sober. And I was like, well, if he can say it and he defined it, then I guess it's a real thing. So whatever. So for me, my out's music. It gets me so out of my head that I can only just hear and feel beats. And it's just like being such in that moment where it's just, it's so amazing. And that's my high. Like that is my natural high.
Yeah.
And again, I have the concerts I go to can range from anything from America to Journey to worship, you know, like to a night
Journey.
of worship. Yes. So it's just all over. But again, it just fills my soul in such a way where I just love music and whatever I can do with it and initiate it with people. Like I'm even right now, I don't know if you would want to call it music, but crystal ball healing, right? So like, for some reason, my soul is crying to go to so I've been like on E-Bright looking like I need a crystal ball class. Like I just want to sit around and just have that sound move me, because I feel that I'm getting realigned in such a different way. And it's only because I've opened my mind to different modalities and different ways of thinking, because I am just so, if it's not in this book, I can't.
Mm.
And then someone's like, well, those 12 were teachers and they reached out. So sometimes God gives you teachers. So don't just stay in this, branch out a little. And I reconnected with someone I went to Leslie with, and she did this meditation with me. And like, I have been high as a kite since she did it. It was the most beautiful thing ever. And I'm actually having her and someone else on a show next week. So I think I think I stopped growing in an area where like I didn't think that I needed to grow in. And I find that since I've opened that door, other doors are opening for me. And it's just, it's like, wow. So when you talk about that alignment, I fully, hands down, and I say, how can you not believe like we're not energy? Like if you believe in the state of gravity and what the science of gravity is, then you got to understand like we are all part of energy. We're just energy with freaking skin on us. It really is. And it's just so fascinating for me. So I really struggled with depression from October until the seasonal adjustment disorder. So like March, April, like I'm really bad. And I'm going to talk about later this scale, but I'm on a scale 1 to 10 with my friends. The ones that are closest to me, like 10, I'm great. And 1, I'm about to like end my life. So if I just put a 3 on Facebook, or if I just text a friend 3, they instantly know what do you got to do, where you want to go for a walk, like we need to get you out of that space because I'm sinking. I'm heading towards, I can't stay here anymore. I need to leave this world, that dark place. And the reason why I'm telling you guys this just went out the window. However, it's just putting me on a scale. So I share that with other individuals, like, scale yourself like 1 to 10. Where are you at mentally, physically, and spiritually? And I share that with the kids because we had some individuals take their lives, and the ones that were left behind were so confused going, but he told me he was okay. But you're okay and my okay might be 2 different things. My okay might be I'm about to jump. Okay, I'm going to jump. And my okay is, let's go get ice cream.
Right.
So the guilt or the survivor's guilt of an individual that's here. So I said, well, we can do numbers. We can all do numbers. 10 is woohoo. And 1 is holy shit, 911, get me some help. So I bring that scaling into every class that I speak at in the school system. And I share that with my family and friends, just because sometimes it's easy to say, I'm a 3. And I'll focus on, well, you didn't say you were a 2, so 3 is amazing, right? And what would it look like? What would it look like for you to be a 4? And just start trying to navigate that way in regards to the mental health and stuff. So that was something I was going to share later, but I ended up sharing now, and there was a reason for it, but God only knows, right? So we were talking about,
Well,
isn't
it's funny
this
you
fun?
brought up 1 to 10.
Yes.
I wish I had brought it. I'm a big fan of, I don't know, levity, right?
Yes.
All of my spiritual teachers
Yep.
have that lightness of heart. And I've been fortunate to study with amazing people who also have that. So I have a little ruler that I made, and I laminate them. So it's a 1 to 10.
Yep.
All different colors. Where are you? Right. So when you say I'm feeling angry, a lot of people are loath to admit anger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I grew up, there was no place for anger in my world. Right. I went to Catholic school. We were raised to be good girls and be nice. There was no space for that. So, but okay, anger doesn't have to be a 10, right?
Yeah.
It might be a 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really useful to use that kind of scaling. It's really helpful.
I absolutely agree.
There's gradations. Our human emotional landscape is vast.
Right.
And each emotion has a vast
Have you ever seen an emotion wheel?
degree.
No, what's an emotion wheel?
So
Can you pull one out of your pocketbook?
I cannot. Wish I brought
What's
my
an
copy.
emotion wheel?
So if you Google it, you just see a literal wheel, and
Yep.
it's just full of all of these different words in different colors.
Yeah.
So the thing is in our society, when we ask people how do they feel, they stick to kind of like the basic emotions,
Yep.
right? Like,
Or they give a thought.
Yes.
I feel like I should be.
right.
Well,
Have you
Wait a minute.
Have you ever in a session say that's not an emotion?
well, that's part of the work. And
Better.
it becomes a bit of a,
Yeah.
hopefully it gets playful.
Yeah.
'Cause I'll go,
yeah.
not a feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris.
Yeah.
They say, oh, Chris.
Hungry. Yeah, that's not a
It's not a
feeling.
No.
feeling.
No.
Yeah.
mm-mm.
So
Yeah.
it's going past like feeling bad, feeling sad,
Yeah.
having
That
like
is
we
not
have
a
like
feeling.
yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
But angry.
Yep.
Yes. But it's just like the basic emotions that are like, that we are just very limited in our vocabulary, and it just helps to expand.
Yep.
Because if I feel fear, well, are you feeling overwhelmed or are you feeling nervous about something?
Mhm.
So
It's
I'm
a
glad that you
spectrum.
brought up fear, because what is your idea on everything? That everything is fear driven. Every emotion's fear driven. What do you think about fear?
Go ahead, Chris.
Because I know, go for it.
Well,
Go for it.
so it's very useful
Yep.
in the 12-step inventory.
Yep.
Like the final thing is getting at what's the fear driving it. So there's this big list, and we all get really good at spouting.
Yep.
Right? There's a lot of sloganizing.
Yep.
Right. My fear of others' opinions.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Fear of others' opinions. Fear of not measuring up. Okay. What's underneath that?
Yep.
Yeah.
What's under that?
So how do you unpack that?
Well, that's a whole session or two or 12, isn't it? But what is under that?
Yep.
So if I'm afraid of what you think of me,
hmm
what might I be feeling besides fear?
Yep.
No, really, I'm asking.
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable isn't a feeling. It's a state.
Okay.
If I'm vulnerable, what?
Yep.
So there's the fear.
Yeah.
But if I'm afraid of what you think of me, what am I actually afraid of?
Being seen, but that's not a feeling.
Well, I'm thinking, and I don't know, because
Yeah.
I'm guessing the fear is of disconnect, the
Okay.
loss of attachment.
Okay.
And what is that?
Okay.
That's sadness.
Yep.
And the sadness is what we stuff down.
Yep.
And that felt resonance. So I had to throw out my emotion wheel. I had pillows that I'd toss around when I ran groups.
Yeah.
Because most of them are not feelings, they're perceptions. So we're back up here. It's the 12-inch problem.
Yeah.
We're here and not here, and for good reason.
Yeah.
At some point, it was dangerous. So this system is so brilliant.
Isn't
It adapts
It-
to survive.
Yep.
And now what?
Yep.
Now we're like we're living like a half-life. Trauma is a disconnect from ourselves.
It's pretty powerful. I got
And-
emotional.
So right, and
I did.
so we are embodied
Yep.
beings, right? Mind, body, spirit. The science is now caught up to the ancients.
Yep.
The yogis from
Yep.
thousands of years. There's no separation.
Yeah.
So if I go to therapy now, this is not too. Well, maybe it is. I do have a little judgy part. We're working on that with
That's
the
okay.
IFS. But so reframing my thoughts,
Yep.
redirecting.
Yep.
Maybe it's documented. There is short-term relief from symptoms.
Yep.
Long-term transformation, absolutely not.
Okay.
So coming into this, and so one of the ways that I work with people often, the concept of titration, right? Bit by bit. There's a reason we're not in our bodies.
Mm.
What do you notice in your body? Nothing. I don't know. I didn't know.
Yep.
This was not a safe place to be.
Yeah.
So cut it off right here, go up here,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. When I was asked, how do you feel? I'd be like, with my hands. Why would you ask such a stupid question?
And beautiful, right?
Right?
The
I
humor.
feel with my hands.
The humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all I couldn't even define a feeling.
Well, and so like when I work with people, that's part of,
Yep.
that's often, not always.
Yep.
But that's part of the work, developing this new language, because it is new. And here's the truth. I've been doing this for a little while,
Yep.
right? I'm pretty in tune.
Yep.
Right. And yet there are times something will happen. I can immediately, I know what's happening in my body. And then I go, and what am I feeling? Guess where my list is? It's on my desk.
Yep.
And so if we have spent most of our lives checked out, running off, numbing, medicating, how could we know what we feel? It's a new thing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So we have word banks. Yay. Yay. The tools are there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's bit by bit.
I know for myself, I was so afraid to feel because I thought I was going to be crippled by it. I was going to be in the fetal
Yeah.
position. I was going to cry and I was never going to be able to stop. So let's just not go there.
Right.
Yes.
And that makes sense,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
The system is wise.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds to me like we're attuned. This work with me, for me, begins from a knowing.
Yep.
This is already
No.
healthy, whole, and healed.
Yep.
And we might need to
Yeah.
do a little uncovering. 'Cause
Yes.
there's a little
I
dusty cover up.
I agree.
But our essence is not, we are not our addictions. We are not our diagnoses. We are
Amen.
not our behaviors.
Right.
That essence
Yeah.
is
And
there.
And I want you girls to speak of that because you just said it. So Massachusetts is the third most populated state in the country with a population of 6.7 million people. 3.71% of the adults suffer from mental health conditions. So when I say something like that to you and we have people listening or tuning in tonight and they see these numbers like mental illness by diagnosis, medications and stuff like that, is there other alternatives to just taking a pill and thinking it's going to go away? Like there are people who have to take serotonin or anything. Do you know anything on the vitamin or the herbal aspect, or is this just all internal work? Can someone actually who's listening go in and to say, find out like they can rewire their own brain? I think I'm trying to say.
So there's this neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Yes.
We all know that one now. Here's even better, newer news. Neurogenesis. In every moment, we can build new neural pathways in every moment throughout our lifespan.
Okay. How?
And what's required
Yep.
is intentionality, consistency, and commitment over time.
Okay.
So lots of people, let's just take meditation or maybe even a therapy session.
Okay.
Because I should meditate or I should be in therapy.
Yeah.
And they come, well, tried that. That's not for me. That's an old pattern of self-abandonment.
Yep.
We can't gain any evidence from a one and done for the most part.
Yeah.
Sure.
And in order to myelinate these new neural pathways, renunciation, putting down the drink or whatever, giving something up is never, ever enough. We also need to implement new practices
Yep.
intentionally. So sound is part of trauma work.
Yep.
When people can get to it, because that can also be tricky.
Yep.
Right. And so I was working with someone and it's called the sigh practice. Big breath in and right?
Yes.
So she goes, well, all right, fine. But, I do that anyway. I said, this
Do it with
is
intention.
different.
Yeah.
This is 3 times in the morning because we're building vagal tone. It's intentional. It's committed. It's consistent. So, like, this already wants to heal.
Yeah.
How can we participate?
Yeah.
And bit by bit.
Yeah.
So to support that desire to be well, that's the thing, I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I used to tell clients that, when they would talk to me about their medications and they're like, I switched to this one, I switched to that one, it's not working, and blah, 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 and this and that. I said, that's not really the solution, right? It could be part of your solution.
Yep.
Because for how people present, right, where they're at in life or where they're at in their therapeutic journey, right, the medication piece is going to be needed. So I'm not going to be the therapist that's going to say, don't ever take your medications.
Yep.
That's not me. But I also understand and respect where it can the role it can have in your life.
Correct.
But to put your dependency, your healing onto it, and just say, I'm waiting for that next pharmaceutical magic pill, it's never going to come.
Yep. Because they're all going to keep on changing.
They're all going to keep on changing. So I agree with Chris when it talks about consistency. I was part of a fitness group that started in the year, right? You know how everyone has like that goal, like, I want to get in better shape and all that, right? And I said, you know what? I could do better towards my physical health, especially with all the stress that one can carry. What I loved is what we did is we didn't go immediately to saying, I'm going to work out 4 days a week, right? For 45 minutes or for an hour. No, the leader of the group said, we're going to follow the 8 laws of health.
Okay.
And it's New Start, right? So it's nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust. And each week we're only going to cover that acronym, that area. And so what happened at the end of the 8 weeks, we were incorporating everything that we've learned.
You titrated.
It just took time. It took the commitment. It took the intention.
Yeah.
And that's
right. But culturally, we have been, I mean, the swiping. So the brain is short-circuited. And we think there is a pill for every ill. And the fact is, we now know that pill then requires another pill and requires another pill. I had someone last week. She's going to be starting. She's in her 30s. She's on 13 daily medications, 4 of which are benzodiazepines. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's criminal, and I think it is unethical, immoral, and I just worked with someone. It took him 9 months to titrate off his 30-year prescription of Xanax. And what we're doing in these treatment centers for addiction, we are loading them up with benzodiazepines and sedatives.
So, and then all of a sudden, like gabapentin took a whole life of its own.
And it's off-label. So that's the other piece. Gabapentin was for
nerve damage.
Right now, off-label as an anti-anxiety medication or something.
No shit.
So
and
I am not anti-medication, but what I am is, what are we doing?
Exactly.
And it's criminal. I don't. And then people come and they want to do the work. If you're on 13 medications, and I ask you, what do you notice in your body?
You don't
Nothing.
know.
What do you feel?
Not anything at all.
Good. I'm peaceful.
You're freaking zoned out.
And the research is just, it's a preponderance.
I agree.
It breaks my heart.
It is tough stuff. It is.
And there is another way.
And there is another way, because mental illness is treatable. However, the earlier the treatment administered to the patient, the better. The following are some treatable mental illnesses, which is substance use, addiction, bipolar, grief, depression, borderline personality, having suicidal thoughts, anxiety, and schizophrenia. Early treatment in these can reduce the pain and suffering of both the patient and those that are in your life. Signs and symptoms of if you are someone in your life that you're experiencing, like what would be some signs and symptoms you would look that might have one of your friends or co-workers might be suffering from mental illness? What would you notice in their behaviors that they might be going through something? What are some of the common signs that you see?
Isolation.
Weight loss, withdrawing from friends. And those are things that, as lights in this world, we have to watch for individuals because it is our job. Like we were assigned to this job. I don't know if I really picked it, but we were assigned to be the light in people's lives and to know what to do.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with mental health, please do know that you can reach out for help. There is support. Find a trusted friend or a family member. Practice self-care. Take time to do things that bring your soul. Some people like to go to the beach. Some people like to watch the sunrise, sunset. Some people just like to sit at a pond and watch the waves ripple. Anything to take care of yourself is an asset to healing, and see where this path takes you. If you're struggling bad, please seek out professional help. Consider going to therapists, and you both had said, make sure the therapist isn't in line, like make sure there's a connection there, because part of trauma is the disconnect. So you're just going to, it might really feel comfortable because of the disconnect, but you actually need that connection to heal. And educate yourself, learn more about mental health, learn more about how we can decrease the stigma, let people know it's okay to talk about mental health. Like, my sister took her life January 5th, 2023. And I was on my way here to do a show, and I got the call that I had to return home. And that was my sister. Like she couldn't get sober. She couldn't utilize these tools. And she ended her life. And would have this been 10 years ago, you guys wouldn't even known I had a sister, right? Because of the shame and the guilt of, oh my gosh, I can't let that know. But that is the fact of the stigma that I attached to mental health as well, which I no longer will. And which is why I talk openly about my own struggles, my own scale that I put myself on, because it's real. And I want to stay here as long as I can, you know, and my only goal, my purpose, I know for my purpose is to stay sober and to help another alcoholic to achieve sobriety. And for 36 years, I've been accomplishing that. My goal in life is to take someone's hand and put it into the hand of God and watch who they're going to become. There's many benefits of exercise for your mental health. It's the sharper memory, increased self-esteem, better sleep, more energy. The scale 1 to 10 I did with all of you, and everyone can do their own scaling. But some numbers that I want everyone to be aware of is that we do have the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. They changed it to Lifeline because we want you to live. And it's 1-800-273-8255. You can go to suicidepreventionlifeline.org. You can dial 988. I always say if it's an emergency, it's always 911 first. 911 will always trump any number in my book. If you're having suicidal thoughts without a plan, dial 988. There's Good Samaritans 24/7, which is 877-870-4673. And as always, go to your local emergency room. Do not try and handle life alone. There's no need to. There are so many people out there that want to meet you, that deserve to meet you, and you deserve to meet. So I thank you both for being here this evening. And so can you just tell me a little bit about where you're located? If someone wanted to find you, where would they find you? And then I'd like to know a little bit about where you're located as well.
I put my email. I don't know if it's going to be on. It's merrimackmindfulness@gmail. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram now.
So
I don't know.
Say the name slower.
Merrimack, MERRIMACK.
Yep.
Mindfulness
Mindfulness
at gmail.com.
@gmail.com.
I see clients worldwide.
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 Do you do face-to-faces or just all on Zoom?
97% of
If
my
a person
clients,
had a preference to come into the office?
we would do a connection call
Amen.
first.
Okay.
But
All right. And Instagram, Mary Mac Mindfulness.
I think it's Chris Warner,
Okay.
MEDISTT.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's new.
Okay.
I
I
that
love
for you.
you.
I'm getting with the technology.
Yes, you
I love that
are.
for you.
And how about you, young lady? How would one find you?
So my practice is called Imperfectly Tuned Counseling. It's located here in Methuen at 184 Pleasant Valley Street. It's a building full of offices. So just Google literally Imperfectly Tuned Counseling LLC, and you'll find me and you'll find my number. My name is Darian. You can also follow Imperfectly Tuned Counseling on Facebook and Instagram at be.imperfectlytuned.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All of this information will be found on our website. You can always reach out to me if you didn't get that. We'll attach it also to this podcast. This podcast, if you girls didn't know, it will be on YouTube, Spotify, Google, and iTunes so that you can have access to it. You can clip it and put it on your own website, or you can refer people to say, hey, I'm a rock star. I was on this show with some amazing people. So,
Oh, can I say one more thing
yes,
too?
you can.
Another service that I do offer is faith-based counseling.
Amen.
I grew up as a Christian, so for those of you that's your jam and you want someone to like talk that can understand, absolutely. Reach out.
Amen. Amen.
There we go.
Yeah,
Meditation, breath work, and yoga here. And,
absolutely.
Love it.
And truly, the at least with me and with many therapists, the connection and consult call is complementary. If we can't connect or somehow find a way to work together, I have lots of referrals. I'm guessing you do too. You know, you're not alone.
Amen.
Yeah. Help is out
Amen.
there.
There's someone for everyone.
Absolutely.
And I just want a big
Yeah.
shout out to Lou back there for being the best producer. Even though he was stuck in traffic, he still got us in on time, did the cheer, mic check. So thank you, Lou, for all that you do for MVP ASAP and supporting our mission. If you're out there and struggling, please reach out. You're not alone. Until my next show. And one more thing, please keep Phil Leahy in your prayers for a complete healing. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Good night and God bless.